Welcome to CyberBytes, the podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Cooper, co-founder of Aspiron Search. Today's guest, we have Gorka Sadowski, Chief Strategy Officer at Exabeam and founder of the XDR Alliance. This is a special show where Gorka shares his journey and mission with the XDR Alliance and what they're all about. How are you, mate?
I'm doing very good. Thank you, Joseph. It's great to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
No, it's pleasure's all mine. Love the background as well. It's probably the clearest one I've had.
Glad you like it. This is what it's all about. XDR Alliance is about bringing clarity. So we'll talk about
Love it. Love it. Where are you in the world at the moment?
I'm in Redwood City in the San Francisco Bay Area in California.
Awesome. And where are you originally from?
So I'm from Europe. I'm from the small region called Basque Country. I was born in the Spanish side of Basque Country in a place called San Sebastian, which is famous for good food and all kind of great stuff.
Yeah.
Up on the French side of Basque Country.
Got it. Wicked. Well, good to know. But yeah, great to see you. With all my guests, I like to take it right back to where it all began and tell the audience how you got into the industry, because I know you've had a wild ride so far.
I've had a wild but very fulfilling and very interesting career. So I came to the US. I came to the University of Miami through an exchange program with a French university that I got my master's from, and the goal was to do a PhD in network security. And I was immediately fascinated by the security, and not only the offensive side of security, but mainly the defensive side of security. So I've had through my career a number of roles all around cybersecurity, in product design, in sales, in business development, in sales engineering, in marketing, as an analyst, and today as a Chief Strategy Officer as an EVP strategy for Exabeam. So very interesting career. There's never a dull moment in our space, and I'm still loving every single day of it.
Yeah, absolutely. You've worked at some big brands. You've started to found your own sort of bits and bobs. So was Splunk was one of your old businesses you worked for?
Yeah, so I've had a mix of services company, MSSPs, and software vendors. I was one of the early employees at NetScreen back where firewall, nobody knew about firewall. And more recently, I was at Splunk. I built the Splunk security ecosystem pretty much from scratch to become one of the reference ecosystems in the industry. After that, I went to Gartner, where I was covering security operations. So I wrote Magic Quadrant, I wrote market guides, I wrote the hype cycles. I did a bunch of research, not only on tooling, but on PPT, people process technology. And when Nir Polak, who's the founder and one of the co-founders and the CEO of Exabeam, offered me a role as a strategy officer here, I immediately accepted, and I've been doing strategy here at Exabeam for 3 years.
Yeah, nice. How old are Exabeam as a business?
So it's about 10 years old. The claim to fame of Exabeam is that we pioneered UEBA, User and Entity Behavior Analytics, which are advanced analytic techniques, and specifically AI techniques, in order to better detect, investigate, and respond to threat. And so I like to joke saying that Exabeam used to do AI before it was cool to do AI in security, for about 10 years now.
Yeah, nice. And I just want to ask about your Gartner experience. So when you were there, you must have had such a diverse array of sort of contact with various different businesses. Can you just talk me a little bit about that experience there?
Sure, and so that's kind of the virtuous circle of that exists at Gartner. I calculated the other day, I spoke to almost close to 2,000 CISOs all over the world, both in the US, in Europe, in Asia Pac, and all industries, all sizes. That's really the value of the brand of Gartner is CISO called you to get unfiltered advice with the intention of helping your customers through these interactions. I also got to talk to hundreds of different vendors. So as you learn more about what the customers are looking for, the CISOs, the issues they're facing, what they're trying to solve, then you can give very good advice and very good recommendation to vendors. And as vendors come and talk to you all the time about what they're cooking, what they're looking at, what they see in the future, you can relay that information back to the CISOs. And that's what I call the virtual circle in there.
Must have given you such a unique lens on things, and particularly now as Chief Strategy Officer and having that many conversations. How have you, I wasn't expecting it to go this route, but how have you sort of implemented that at Exabeam from just some of the conversations from the past?
So what is interesting is that after hundreds and thousands of conversations, patterns start emerging. Patterns start emerging in terms of what are people looking for? What are they trying to solve? And what is it that they consistently fail on? And those are very interesting lessons that, I carry to Exabeam, but I also carry on a day-to-day basis when I'm talking to customers. And customers can be CISOs, but they can be SOC directors, a SOC manager, or even practitioner. And I think the beauty of Gartner is to not really only focus on technology, but to understand that in order to solve cybersecurity, it's a PPT, people, process, technology. You have people that are running processes, and technology is here to accelerate and support and automate and optimize as much as possible those processes. But it's really that combination that allows an organization to solve the cybersecurity issues.
Yeah, awesome. Love that. So I know we're really here down to talk about the XDR Alliance. Let's dive straight in. Can you tell us a little bit about how this formed and a little bit more about the initiative?
So it formed from the realization that if you ask 10 people in the street what XDR is, you get 11 different answers. And we say, and every time you ask anyone what is XDR, it is a self-serving answer that they give you. So we said, well, how about we get the village together, and we build a village that is going to be the reference point for what XDR truly is. By the way, XDR is extended detection and response. And, let's build the voice of reason around what an XDR is, not only Exabeam, but a bunch of different vendors that are thought leader and some of the leaders in each respective field. And so that we can come up with reference architecture, we can do technology integrations, and we can go to market with some very, very interesting, unique value proposition around this is XDR. By the way, the only really legitimate XDR should be Open XDR. And this is, some of the better ways to go about providing detection and response for your organization.
Mm. Who are some of the members that you mentioned, some of the main players in the field?
So it's the who's who in cybersecurity. And, the way we build the XDR Alliance is not by selecting vendors, but in thinking about, okay, what are the different categories that are important in order to deliver a holistic XDR equation, XDR proposition to the end customers. And so that was, well, we need vendors from IoT and OT. We need vendors that are in the endpoint detection and response, network security, cloud security, identity, and that's the genesis of all of that. And because it is also mainly a working group, I didn't want to have too many vendors, because then at one point you have diminishing returns. And then you lose the efficiency. So we decided to select one vendor for each of these different categories. So in IoT and OT, we have armies. In identity and privilege access management, we have CyberArk. In email security, we have Mimecast. We have Netscope. We have Google Cloud. We have VMware, we have Deloitte, because we also have MSSPs and MDRs. We have Deloitte and we have ReliaQuest. So really the who's who of cybersecurity is part of the XDR Alliance.
Yeah, I love that. When did you guys form? How long's this been?
So it was a few months of work, and we announced the XDR Alliance at Black Hat in 2021. So Black Hat 2021, the XDR Alliance is officially born. There's the initial set of founding members, and we committed to working together to define a set of deliverables and work together in technical and technology integration through a set of deliverables that we have been consistently delivering on.
Nice. I was going to ask you, so it's the common information model. Was this the initial first sort of framework, was it, or?
Yeah, so beyond the reference architecture, we said, okay, well, what is required for best collaboration between all of these different disparate tools? How can we make it easiest for end customers to integrate all of these solutions? And we realized that we needed two kind of enablers. The first enabler was a common information model. Think of the common information model as a common language that all of us can speak when we talk to each other. That was not the case. Everybody, every tool speaks their own language, and it's very difficult to have a common understanding. So the first was for the XDR Alliance to come up with a common information model. Exabeam's been driving that with input and suggestion, recommendation, feedback from all of these different vendors. And so we defined, and so we were born in Black Hat 2021. Black Hat 2022, so 1 year later, we announced the common information model, and we put that common information model in the open source community as a collaborative effort, of all of the XDR Alliance members.
Yeah, nice. What success did you see very quickly from when you formed the group? What success, or is there any case study that you can share with us?
So I think the success is really to realize that finally people are getting it, that in order for us, and us, I want to say in a very binary standpoint, you have the good guys and you have the bad guys. Us, the good guys, the one that we work to defend organization, and that's service providers, vendors, software service providers. And all of us, the good guys, are capable of collaborating and working together and sitting down around the table and work on these different technology integration. And again, common information model, set of APIs, reference architecture for the benefit of the end customer. For me, it was a great acknowledgement that at the end of the day, we are all adults and we understand the value in collaboration.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got another stat down. On average, today's organizations have more than 31 security tools deployed in order for security teams to work efficiently.
Totally. And not only that, but this organization has these 31 tools. This other organization has these other 31 tools. This other has these other 31 tools. So now you have a combinatory explosion of, and this organization has this, and this tool, and this, and that tool, and that. And so now suddenly, and so you cannot continue that one-to-one work that needs to be done. It needs to be a collaborative effort with the definition of enablers, again, common information model, a set of APIs in order to do that. And because they are open source, that is truly even easier for vendors and end customers to adopt that.
Yeah, what are some of the other benefits for folks to take this on board? Because obviously it seems like quite a crazy number, 31 tools, and then there's another 31, another 31.
So I think that's kind of, the way we got here. It's because the cybersecurity landscape has been evolving and changing very quickly. The attack surface has evolved very quickly. The method of attacks have been evolving very quickly. And the tendency for too many years, I want to say, is that every time there was a new problem or a new attack vector, there was a new startup and a new set of tools and vendors that were addressing this particular space. And so when you do that consistently year after year, you end up with a bunch of point solutions. And I'm not saying that these point solutions are good or bad. It is what it is. They are today deployed in organization. And now the role is to really, how can you connect the dots? the way to improve the cyber posture today in organization is not to buy a 30-second tool. It's not to buy another point solution. It's to connect the dots between all of these disparate signals and alerts and tools with different capabilities and give a cohesive value proposition to the organization across all the different attack surface, across all of the different attack mechanisms. And that's really what the XDR Alliance has been geared to be doing, is to provide through a set of common information model and a set of API, that holistic way of connecting the dots, and connecting the dots not only between different technologies, but connect the dots in order to do threat detection, investigation, and response at scale.
Yeah, nice. Can you confirm, so at Black Hat just gone, which was what, August of this year,
Yep.
You had some exciting news and it was around the API specifications. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So the two enablers in order to facilitate communication and collaboration between all tools is one, a common language, the CIM, the Common Information Model, and then another set of plumbing for all of these tools to communicate easier, and for a tool such as Exabeam to be able to integrate more easily with all of these different tools. Those communication happens through APIs, application programming interface. And so by the definition of a collaborative set of API that Exabeam has been driven and releasing to the open source, now we have really facilitated, the plumbing for all of these tools to talk to one another and to talk to Exabeam. The plumbing is there, the common information model, which is the common language, is there. So those are the two main enablers in order to then be able to build, 1 + 1 = 3 and 1 + 1 + 1 = 5 use cases among all of these different tools collaborating together.
Yeah, what I found fascinating as well is, although the threat landscape is constantly evolving, it's really a foundation is there. How, particularly like you mentioned with AI earlier, with that and it, well, ChatGPT and all the other various things, how are you staying on top of all of the new and latest technology advancements that are coming out?
We have, so there's two aspects. We have an amazing, at Exabeam, there's an amazing R&D team, and that's all they do is look at all the threats, the way the landscape is changing, the trends, and is able to anticipate a lot of those and bring that back into the product in terms of content. And then, there's crowdsourcing. I mean, everybody's really switched on cybersecurity, and we all have our sources of information, where we are plugged, who we know, and then we collaborate, we crowdsource that back into Exabeam. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that, again, Exabeam has been using AI and ML techniques for the detection of threats that are kind of independent of IOCs and signatures for threat. Those legacy vendors, they need to know what's the signature for threat so that they can bring that signature to the tools. We don't work like that. So we also have signature, but we have a UEBA, user and entity behavior analytics capabilities, that not only is able to understand the normal behavior of an organization, but flags abnormal behaviors. And in the hierarchy of how powerful it is, you have signatures very much in the bottom, and that forces you to always keep updating your signatures with the latest threat and the latest attack, all the way to understanding of behaviors, because a lot of attacks may change their signatures, but they're usually a set of behaviors that are associated with a bunch of different attacks. And so by working at the behavior level, you work in a different way.
Yeah. Well, what's next for both XDR Alliance and for Exabeam? What's on the horizon?
So for the XDR Alliance, I think that now we have those two enablers. We likely will be ready to continue expanding membership of the XDR Alliance. And we'll see how that evolves, but we really believe in open sourcing and making everyone benefit from all of this. So, those are some of the guiding principles. So more integrations, more technology integration work with the different members, more members, more events. So that's kind of what's the plan for that.
How can they get more information on the XDR Alliance whilst we're on the topic? How can people get directly on the website? Perfect.
XDRalliance.com.
There it is.
XDRalliance.com. You can apply to be a member in there. Again,
Yep.
we're very, very selective in who we allow to become a member, because decision by committees is hard when you reach a certain point. But now that we have these enablers made, I think the XDR Alliance will be ready to bring more members.
Yeah, I love that. And what about for Exabeam?
So for Exabeam, again, very focused on TDIR, threat detection, investigation, and response. So more capabilities around that, more coverage. And I think also, realistically, a user experience where now you can bring this type of very sophisticated tools, bring it to the masses, because the UX has massively been improved. So that's kind of the TDIR. And then there's other areas of security operations beyond TDIR that are in the horizon for that. Do realize that we are a security operations platform. So today we support TDIR and we do TDIR better than anybody else, but there's the opportunity to do more in the area of security operations.
Love that. Gorka, is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience before we wrap this up?
I wanted to thank you for the opportunity. I love the XDR Alliance. I love the collaboration. Cybersecurity is a great space to be in. I encourage all the listeners, all the viewers to come join the cybersecurity space. We need people, we need competencies, we need smart people. Take a look at what happens in cyber. Hope you can make a career out of that. I certainly did. I still have great interest and passion for this. So and thank you, Joseph.
You're living proof, Gorka. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing XDR Alliance and Exabeam, and I wish you all the best success for the future.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, mate. Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed today's show, please like and share with your friends and colleagues, as this is really important for the show's reach. If you'd like to be our next guest or are interested in Aspiron Search's staffing solutions, please get in touch directly with me or reach out to us via our website www.aspironsearch.com.